Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, the $1 Million Show, coming to you every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on Charlton and Big C Sports. Today is June 23rd, 2016. And Big C, we are right in the heart of summertime. I told you it was about 100 degrees yesterday. Well, I was looking at Las Vegas, how they were talking about having the NHL come to Las Vegas, and they did go to Las Vegas, Big C. It was 109 degrees, and we're not even in the heat of summer, Big C. Your thoughts on what's going on in the Southland as your good old boys get ready for sports, Big C?
Well, Charlton, we're always ready for sports. It's our lifestyle here. You guys use it as a hobby. We use it as a lifestyle down here in the South.
Yeah.
This is why you get so many great athletes that come out of here that filter into the NFL. And even when you talk about the NBA draft,
yeah,
the potential number one pick
yeah,
in the NBA draft, either which player goes is going to come out of the South, either Duke out of Carolina or LSU.
Yeah.
So the South is not just a football hotbed, but we've turned into a basketball mecca, Charlton.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. And in fact, speaking of basketball, you know how we were talking about the NBA championship going to Game 7, how that was orchestrated. A lot of TV revenue coming in. A lot more contracts are going to be in play because they're going to have a bigger contract in the next season, Big C. And I was talking to some of my friends from the South, the good old boys that play in the SEC, and I asked them what they thought about LeBron James and his performance in the NBA Finals. They said, what NBA Finals? We're running football practice down here, so you guys do a little bit different down there, Big C. But again, just, you know, how we always talk about so much in the world of sports. We have all the great athletes that are pulling out of the Olympics. We know there's some NBA players that decided they don't want to play in the Olympics. We had McElroy pulling out of the Olympics. He's talking about not wanting to be a part of that. Just your thoughts on that, Big C. Now, when you played the sport, you've been around it 40 years. You've seen it from TV and radio and on the field. Why is it taking so long for athletes to say they don't want to get caught up in what could be, you know, a major health issue, Big C?
Well, Charlton, it's so realistic. We've seen some of the health problems that have occurred from this Zika virus down in Brazil.
Yeah.
And when you're a world athlete, when you're one of the elitists in the world, and you're thinking about going down for an event that is not going to change your lifestyle, because, you know, the Olympics, Charlton, for decades was thought as an amateuristic, you know, event.
Yeah.
And over the past couple of decades, I know since they started letting the NBA players play, and the professional golf was going to be back in the Olympics for the first time in 100 years this year.
Yeah.
And many other sports, you know, because so many of these athletes, Charlton, have sponsors, so they're not really amateurs. They're paid to participate. But is that gold medal worth more than your life if you get the Zika virus and it makes health changes in you? It will affect you the rest of your life. So
well, Big C,
gold medal.
That's a rhetorical question. You said, is the gold medal worth more than your life or your health? And some people are saying, yeah. In fact, some of the Russian athletes, the track athletes, they were banned from participating because of alleged blood doping. We know they don't do that in Russia, Big C.
So nobody had a picture is what they're saying.
No.
You couldn't believe the audio tape since nobody had a picture.
Well, they're fighting to get back in, Big C. It's funny because, you know, media in the United States, everyone has, you know, Facebook. You have your cell phone. You know how most people keep their cell phone within about 3 feet of them wherever they go. I even know people that take their cell phone in the bathroom, but they just put it on the side when they get in the shower.
You can't be telling people how you live.
Okay.
TMI.
Well, you know how they say, my sources tell me. Like, what's your source's name? So, but ironically, you have a lot of the players in the United States that are saying, hey, you know what, maybe we shouldn't go to this Olympic with all the medical issues going on. You have Russian athletes, they're fighting to get in. So what are they taking in that blood doping that fights the Zika virus? Because just your thoughts on that.
Well, there's going to be some big mosquitoes down there if they fight the Russian athletes. You know,
that's funny.
You know, the alleged steroid, you know, usage with these.
That's funny.
You know, they'll make the mosquito the state bird down there in Rio.
Oh my goodness! Could you imagine putting some HGH in the mosquitoes? We'll have a superbug for sure. And speaking of superbug, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealer, home of the all-new Escalade, the standard of the world. And you can only get it there brand new at your NorCal Cadillac dealer. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, when we think about it too, because it's really a tragedy when you think about the health concerns. And I know because there's so much money on the line that people are going to go anyway. So when you ask that question, would you put your health or even life on the line just for a gold medal? And to some people, Big C, the answer is yeah. Because there are people who will still tell you that the world is flat, okay? And there's still people that would tell you that, oh, this is not a health concern. Who cares what the medical science thinks? They don't believe in science. So they're going to go down there anyway. And as you know as well as I do, there's going to be someone who's going to contract some type of virus, and it's going to be maybe passed on to their offspring. And then they're going to want to sue someone because they did not warn them enough. So, Big C, I think, like you said, when you played, you would not have gone. I think a lot of people are slow to come around and say it, because there's also pressures from your sponsor that's already given you a 7-figure contract to go down there and compete in the Olympics. Do you think that's realistic, Big C, or am I being naive?
Well, you're being naive, Charlton. When it comes down to money and being involved in events, Charlton, the fans really feel that they have the final say-so on what a player or an athlete does.
Yeah.
It is so, chivalrous out here nowadays that, the gestures that they go through, the heckling that they'll go through, Charlton.
Yeah.
And even, stalking of players.
Yeah.
When you think about it, I was having a conversation with a gentleman today, and, he was still upset about Barry Sanders retiring. Did I feel that Barry Sanders shorted the fans in the league by retiring?
Wasn't that 10 years ago?
Huh?
About 10 years ago, wasn't it, Z?
About 12 years ago now that Barry retired, but Barry Sanders gave the NFL all he could give the NFL. He was asking, do I think that Barry was mad at the coach Wayne Fonts at the time? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with it. When Barry retired, Barry realized he still had a life to live. Just like the great Jim Brown, when he left pro football after 9 years, Barry Sanders left it after 11 years.
Yeah.
Because they had accomplished all of what they needed to accomplish personally.
Yeah.
A fan's perspective on things saying, well, he could have played another 3 or 4 years. Charlton, I had 15 operations as a player, okay?
Yeah.
15. That still bother me today, most of them. And so anytime you have anything intrusive on your body, you're not 100% again, even though through medical technology things have advanced a lot over the past couple of decades.
Yeah.
But when you go back and you have intrusive surgeries, you have these aches and pains, when you can't get out of bed the following morning after a game, and fans are sitting there saying he owed it to us. No, the owner owes it to you.
Yeah.
To put the best product on the field to support a great player. Barry Sanders never had an all-pro quarterback when he played with the Detroit Lions. He had Scott Mitchell, a free agent. He had Scott Heupel.
Yeah.
Heupel.
Yeah.
He had David Kramer. These are the type of quarterbacks he had. No number one draft picks. He had these quarterbacks that were cast off from other organizations. So there was never really any opportunity for him to have greatness around it. The best receiver he had on the team at that time was Herman Moore.
Yeah.
Nobody else in the receiving corps you knew about. You had no all-pro offensive lineman, and you had the greatest running back in football. With no all-pro offensive lineman, he lost 3,500 yards from the line of scrimmage, Charlton, when he was a player.
Yeah.
If you added that to his yardage total of over 15,000, he's up over 18,000, 19,000 yards, Charlton. Still the all-time leading rusher in the NFL. So, as a player, you have to protect your future. And when we talk about the Zika virus, the Olympics is a 2.5 week event. You hope to live another 40, 50 years, 60 years after Olympics, Charlton.
Yeah.
Now, if it's a Zika virus, say it's the next level of AIDS in society, Charlton. We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
So how can it affect people? How will it affect people long term? We've already seen the birth effects from this, Charlton. You have to be overly concerned if you're an athlete and you think about participating in the Rio Olympics.
Well, you think about Roy McIlroy, and he's a great golfer. He was actually going to go and do something for his country. The 4th-ranked McIlroy was scheduled to play for Ireland as golf makes its return to the Olympics for the first time since 1904. But McIlroy stated that he's 27 years old this month, and that he and his fiancée, Erica Stoll, they may consider starting a family in the next couple of years. So even he left it open the next couple of years, Big C. But when you think about that, there are people who already have kids. But if it could be enough scientific proof that it can harm a newborn child, why are people saying let's go there anyway? I remember, and maybe this is a little bit different, but when we had that meltdown of 3 Mile Island back in Pittsburgh, I think it was in the 70s, there were people who, they quarantined the area. They didn't want people to go there and fish. They didn't even want people to inhabit that area because science works. Now, there's some people who don't believe in science, so maybe they'll say if I just pray hard enough, it won't happen to me. But when I think about all the NBA players that don't want to go down there, Curry's not going, LeBron James is not going, there's several other big names, Harden's not going. Now, ironically, Big C, you know what's going to happen. It's a sad thing, but the college kids that are going to want to play for the Olympics, for the U.S. Olympic basketball team, some of these kids are going to go down there because they think that's their chance at stardom. But the guys who are already multi-millionaires, they're saying, no, I'm not taking that chance. What advice would you give young college players? And I know there maybe have sponsors saying, look, you're going to get $1 million if you go pro, and just from a sponsorship by going to the Olympics. I would tell these kids, stay away. Your life's more important than trying to make even $1 million, Big C. Your thought on that?
Well, as you say, Charlton, money talk. And when you have the highest paid athletes in the world saying that I'm not going to go, I'm not going to make an appearance.
Yeah.
As we spoke about the value of the gold medal earlier, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is it worth the lifelong effects that will affect my life from potentially getting this Zika virus?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of world concern, there's a lot of health concerns, Charlton. And when we talk about the impact of sports throughout the world, how big and how important it is.
Yeah.
This is a medical issue and a sports issue that are impacting each other.
Well, see, Big C, ironically, I'm glad you said that because McElroy, he's one of the most high-profile sports stars on the planet. And for him to opt out of Rio de Janeiro because of concerns about the Zika virus, and he said this Wednesday that, quote, I am unwilling to take a risk. Now, you're going to have these sponsors that are telling these athletes that, hey, if you don't go, then we're going to cut up this $1 million check that we have with your name on it. But I just think your health is more important than that. And speaking of health being important, this segment is also sponsored by your Northern California BMW dealer, home of the ultimate driving machine. Go down and test drive the super powerful 600 horsepower M7. And when you're test driving it, let them know that Charlton and Big C sent you. So also, Big C, we know as we get around the world in sports, and I just want to touch on this again, the dispute over Russia, the World Anti-Doping Agency, they've sided against the international Olympic officials in a statement supporting track and field's decision to let Russian athletes participate as long as they get tested outside of the country. Now, let me ask you this question. I know that you say money talks. Russia has a lot of oil. Now, they have already known they've been accused of a lot of indiscretions. So going outside of the country doesn't have anything to do with it, because sometimes people can be had because of money is slipped into the doctor bag. You slip in some doctor money, and now the test comes up negative when really they may have had something going on in their system. So when Al Michael said, do you believe in miracles? It's called Miracle in the Needle that too many athletes are caught up in. But, they can fight anything, Big C. So I think that money, like you said, even though I'm sometimes naive, I don't think officials can be paid off, but money does answer a lot of problems, Big C. And I hope that no matter who's going to compete in the Olympics.
Talk about officials being paid off.
Right. I've heard of that name before. I've heard of that name.
He went to prison. He was an NBA official.
Yeah.
And he went to prison for improprieties dealing with NBA basketball games. The feds got it.
Yeah.
And there's been a few others that have been alleged over the decades. So everybody has an opportunity to do right and do wrong, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so no one's untouchable when it comes to money. Otherwise, players would not be holding out for these huge contracts.
Yeah.
There would not be strikes. Everybody, whether you're a construction worker, whether you're a professional athlete, or whether you're in the medical profession or even in the airline industry, everybody is holding out for more. That is the American dream, to make more money. And by we've heard that analogy, by whatever means possible, Charlton.
Yeah.
We've heard that many times throughout our lifetime. And so who's to say who will not do what?
Yeah.
There's no saints in the world, Charlton. Hold on, wait a minute. Let me look at this.
Okay. And that's funny. That's funny that you say that, because Jerry Maguire made that movie. It was with Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr. and it's called Jerry Maguire. And the whole scene was, show me the money. And because we know money talks, and there are people who say, "Oh, I'd do this for free. I would do this for free if I had to, but I'll keep that $100 million endorsement that they just gave me, even though he'll do it for free." And speaking of thinking of that too, when we look at the NHL, the first time that no teams in Canada participated in the NHL, the Stanley Cup won by the Pittsburgh Penguins over the San Jose Sharks. Now think about this though: Patrick Kane was considered the NHL's MVP, and he's actually the first player that's born and raised in the United States to become the NHL's most valuable player, and he plays for the Chicago Blackhawks. So what a twist of fate, Big C. No teams from Canada getting in, but they finally have for the first time an American kid winning the MVP up in Canada. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Kane is one of the iconic players in the NHL now, Charlton. The past couple of years, the Blackhawks had been in the Stanley Cup and won.
Yeah.
So, this is a proud organization and one of the original six in the NHL. So, when you have a player from one of the original six in the NHL winning the Hart Trophy as the league's most outstanding player, you really appreciate the game. And Patrick Kane is one of the true superstars and ambassadors of the NHL. Hockey in Chicago is iconic. When you think about Chicago, Detroit, New York, these are part of the original six in Boston.
Yeah.
So when these teams are playing, and they make up for Canada not being in the Stanley Cup playoffs, but still, Patrick Kane is a true representative of the NHL, and you don't hear him in any blogs, Charlton, getting in trouble.
Yeah, he's a runaway. He's a runaway winner for the Hart Award, winning 121 of 150 first place votes, and Sidney Crosby finished second with 11 first place votes, while Dallas Jimmy Beam was third. But obviously, hockey is an exciting sport, and as they go further south into the United States, and because the money in Las Vegas is so big, there's a billionaire owner that actually had $500 million placed. He'll pay $500 million to get the NHL, another franchise there. So when you talk about money, and we just saw this thing with the Cleveland Cavaliers going down to Las Vegas, as opposed to heading straight to Cleveland because they missed their fans out of 54 years of winning the championship. They missed them so bad they decided to go to Las Vegas first. I still think that's funny when you talk about the officiating that actually went to jail over some improprieties. But good job, hockey. But good luck keeping the seedy behavior out of your hockey arena. I just don't know how much it's going to influence in Canada, the gaming and hockey and betting on sports. I still don't think it's a good idea, but since hockey made it first, some other team's going to go down the next, Big C, maybe from football or basketball. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you'll end up with a basketball team down there, Charlton, because of hockey builds this enormous arena.
Yeah.
Now, you put a huge stadium in the middle of the desert in Vegas. That's going to be an outcry. It's bad enough in Phoenix with the University of Phoenix Stadium, but even in Vegas, it's hotter than that.
Yeah.
But you do have a population nucleus in Arizona. You got Tempe, you got Phoenix, you got those areas down there. In Vegas, you only have Las Vegas, a city of, 1.7 million people in Las Vegas, Charlton. And of that 1.7 million people, Charlton, only about 400,000 of them are born in Nevada.
Yeah.
So everything is transient. And when you have an income that's based on a tip per session, per se, a majority of the workers in that state, it's going to be hard. And if you put a stadium in, you got to put in those seat licenses. Yeah. Like they did in Oakland when the Raiders moved back. And
that was that was a bad deal for Alameda. They still are on the hook for Alameda County for $40 million, Big C. And maybe that's why Davis is trying to get out of there, because he doesn't think they can find him along all the bright lights in Las Vegas, Big C.
Well, I guess the silver's black and the silver's glitter, and a lot of the coins in Vegas are about that shade. So
yeah.
That's what Mark Davis was looking at, trying to emulate the payout of Vegas.
I think Mark Davis is funny because he's trying to do like his dad, which was considered a maverick, but at least the great Al Davis helped merge the two leagues together that gave us the great NFL. And when you think about that, he's done a great thing, and I just don't think he's living up to his father's status, Big C. But as we also look around the world of sports, I know there's a lot of things happening with the NBA having the draft coming up tonight. I know there are a lot of guys that they get so giddy over a college player who's not going to make the same kind of impact that maybe trading for someone who already has NBA experience. So just a thought on, I know there's a kid out of LSU supposedly the next great thing, but they always say that about players in college. But when they go to the NFL from college football, there's a drop-off. When you go to the NBA from college basketball, there's a drop-off. Even players coming in from Europe. So your thoughts on, are you excited about the NBA draft the way we are about the NFL draft pick? So your thoughts on that?
It's really not. The household names and potential is not there in the NBA draft.
You don't know who they are.
You talk about two players, Ben Simmons, who was a freshman at LSU. You talk about Brandon Ingram, who was a freshman at Duke. Both of them are forwards. Both are 6'8", 6'10". When you look at them, neither one has a great outside shot. On the college level, you can penetrate.
Yeah.
In the NBA, Charlton, they will put a body on you. And that's the thing. Simmons is going to be a number one draft pick. He's number one and number two.
Yeah.
Now, the last great player that came out of LSU, number one overall, was Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Okay? The next great player that came out of LSU that did not pan out was a player named Stromile Swift back in 1996.
Yeah.
He was a 6'10", tweener like Brandon Simmons.
Yeah.
But, he ended up with the Grizzlies, didn't pan out as a great NBA player, and so many. When you look at Duke, Charlton, when was the last superstar to come out of Duke in the NBA? That's something they haven't possessed. Krzyzewski has had a great college program.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Duke players transcending into the NBA, it just has to be there. Paulie Stein last year went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Number one overall. But, what did Minnesota do? Win 28, 29 games?
Yeah.
So when you think about the impact of these college players, and, Kentucky, once again, which they always have somebody ready to go in the first round, they got a point guard, Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
That people are high on. But, Charlton, these young players, how can they come in and mold an NBA team?
No, you can't.
That's the thing you really have to look at.
And I think
I think the best player in the draft is Buddy Hield.
Yeah, out of Oklahoma.
He's out of Jamaica.
Yeah.
He led the nation in scoring. And I think when you look for an impact player, that's what you have to look at. If you don't have a dominant big man, and probably the best big man in the draft that people will go under the radar with, and he probably go in the top 10, is Sabonis out of Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Now, his dad played Arvydas Sabonis in Portland for over a decade, one of the best big men in the NBA at the time. So he had great tutelage. Like when we talk about a Steph Curry growing up in an NBA family with a dad who taught him the nuances of the league and the game, playing the same position.
Yeah.
This is what we have with Sabonis out of Gonzaga. You have the potential of a superstar, a guy who is going to get you double-digit rebounds. He has a decent mid-range shot, but he's not hyped like these other players, such as a Steph Curry was not hyped coming out of Davidson. But we've seen how his career has transcended early in the NBA to make him a champion. So I think Sabonis, for me, and Buddy Hield are the top two players coming out in the draft, Charles.
Yeah, and when you talk about the top two players, again, they're going to have to out-compete someone who's already in the NBA, and they've already gotten used to that type of talent and that type of play every week, and actually every night playing in the NBA. They tend to play about 4 games a week. And also, when you talk about NBA, this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Ford dealer, home of the all-new F-150. They build it for it tough. And when you go down and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, Big C, there's something else going on in the world of sports. We're always talking about what's happening in the world of golf. We talked about McIlroy. We talked about the NBA draft coming up. We even talked about the alleged use of steroids from Russian track and field. So I don't know how sincere that is, but I want you to watch on the television. There's a commercial with this big looking weightlifter, and he has a cow hat on his head trying to say that he drinks regular milk, right? And his milk is steroid free, but they got needles in this guy's arms, and the woman's going, well, I think I'll try a different kind of milk. And that's what I see what's happening with these Russian athletes, and I'm sure it's not just Russia, it can be anywhere. But I want to bring something up too, because we talk about responsibility, and we talk about sometimes athletes that can feel like they're entitled, like the Cleveland Cavaliers going down to Las Vegas and partying, with the strippers and the women walking around in panties. That's not a good look for the NBA, but someone snuck in some cell cameras, right? Some cell phone cameras. Now,
they snuck in or intentionally turn on. I have to look at the intentional accident. These are grown men who are aware of the action, so they want to show people what they do socially.
Yeah, and I think J.R. Smith still hasn't found his shirt Maybe because they burned one of his shirts when they burned LeBron James' shirt, and they just happened to burn some of his stuff too back in the day when he left and went to Miami. But I think about Dez Bryant. You know, you're good friends with Jerry Jones from what I hear. You good old boys in the South hang together. I think they call it birds of a feather flock together. But Dez Bryant faces a lawsuit from his former landlord over allegations of, get this, Big C, more than $60,000 in damages to a house that the Dallas Cowboys wide receiver leased. Now, $60,000 is not a lot of money to a guy making several $1 million, but the lawsuit was filed last week by a Texas state senator. His name is Royce West, an attorney that also defended Bryant in the domestic violence case. Now, we worry about Nate Newton and his issues down there. Also, Michael Irvin had some of his issues down there in Dallas also. What is it about Cowboys that tend to have issues that we also know Johnny Manziel, he was reportedly in a hit-and-run accident in Dallas police earlier this week, and he's someone who's been like a nightmare, but he never has to go to jail, Big C. So Dez Bryant's being sued, but Manziel has all these issues, and no one's really trying to do anything to him other than slap him on the wrist, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, he's a natural-born good old boy out of Texas. So, everybody else is a transplant that we've seen down there. When you talked about Irvin, you talked about Nate Newton, you about Eric Williams.
Yeah.
Many Cowboys over the years have had problems, alleged problems through illegal discretions and all of that.
Yeah.
If you recall the movie North Dallas 40,
wasn't that from Texas? Nick Nolte in that movie, Big C?
Well, you were wearing diapers at the time, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
But it was a movie that was based on the early years of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
As far as the growth of that franchise.
So you're saying that movie wasn't that far from true, Big C? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say it wasn't true. I didn't say far from true, but I didn't say it wasn't true. It was more of a reality check than anything that we had seen up until that time about what happens in the annals of professional football, Charlton.
Yeah.
The things that you try to keep out of the public light.
Yeah.
But that's life. This is what occurs. And when you have young men that you put millions of dollars in their hands, Charlton, all of a sudden overnight.
Yeah.
And they do not have social awareness, social or financial awareness, Charlton. They just figure that the money will never stop and they can do anything that you want.
Yeah.
I heard some great talk from former players today, Charlton, that really needs to be applied to professional sports.
Yeah.
And I know in most states and cities it's illegal, but, the use of marijuana should be legalized in professional sports. If you're a professional athlete, you should be allowed to use. Now, people say, why only professional athletes?
Yeah.
Because what it would do for professional athletes, Charlton, when they're not in their playing arena, it will keep them calm at all times, okay?
Yeah.
We won't see them out flashing bottles of Cristal.
Yeah.
It will make them eat properly because they won't stay hungry, okay? They won't be hungry.
Wait, Big C, let me just get this right. Are you saying if they use the medicinal, legal marijuana, it will stop them from wanting to drink Cristal? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Charlton. And not only that, they will go to bed on time. They won't be out all night getting into these scenarios out in the nightclubs, gun brandishing, people shooting at them, fights and things along this line. Let me give you a perfect example, Charlton.
Yeah.
The Chief. Everybody remembers the Chief.
Oh, Robert Parrish.
He was the number one draft pick overall out of the University of Creighton.
Yeah.
By the Golden State Warriors back in the mid-'70s, okay?
Yeah.
7-foot tall center. Robert Parrish had been stopped on 3 separate occasions in airports because they had found out that he was traveling with an excessive amount of marijuana. Now, the Chief, all he did was run up and down the court for 21 seasons in the NBA.
Yeah.
A lot of pain and stress on a big man's joints and his feet and everything, and on his body, battling up against another 7-footer that may weigh close to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, but you never heard about the Chief, Charlton, off the court getting into any incidents. And now there's been many other players that have used, marijuana in all sports, hockey, basketball, baseball. But the players who have used marijuana, Charlton, we have not heard about them on the police blogger other than being stopped with the marijuana.
Yeah.
But it also helps because it's a natural herb. It helps relax the body and allow the body to recoup itself.
Yeah.
So if the professional leagues ever want to look into anything to keeping their players out of trouble, Charlton, they should get with the national government because these are the largest corporations in America.
Oh, yeah.
They control television. They control a lot of things in many cities. Make marijuana legal for professional teams. That way we would eliminate a lot of the problems that these players get into off the court because they would be home or sitting up a buffet.
Yeah.
Ready to go to sleep.
Well, see, Big C, I think it's almost like the pornographic industry. Nobody watches it, but everybody knows that it's $1 billion industry, just like with marijuana. And there are some medicinal purposes in it that actually make the body heal faster, from what I understand. This is scientific research, irrespective of someone saying you should use it, or I did, but I did not inhale, like one of our former presidents said. But there are issues of athletes. I was just talking to a former 49er just the other day, and he says, Charlton, I hurt so much it's hard to walk sometimes, and sometimes I lay in bed all day because I can't get up. Not because I'm lazy. This guy's only 60. It's not like he's 95 years old. He's 60. But I know that they need to find a way. They were taking kids that have epileptic seizures, and they were giving them, there's a chemical that's in the marijuana plant when they make it.
THC.
Yeah, THC. Yeah, and it took away the seizures from about 100 a day down to about 5 a day. That's science. This is not about someone wanting to get high. We know that it's legal in the state of state of Colorado, and also in Oregon, I believe, and they're trying to make it legal.
In Washington.
Is it okay, Washington. Boy, Big C, you know a lot coming from the South. You know a lot about these Midwest and Northwest states, Big C.
Well, I got on the plane twice before, you know.
Okay. But I think you're right, though, because when it comes to talking to athletes that are not even playing the game anymore, and they're saying they're suffering injuries that happened 30 years ago when they were playing in the trenches, Big C.
Charlton, let me tell you the biggest fight against legalizing marijuana, Charlton.
Who's going to get the money?
It's the synthetic opiates.
Yeah.
That you get players hooked on.
Oh, yeah.
Think about the overall effect of synthetic opiates.
Yeah.
You're looking at cortisone. You're looking at Oxycontin.
Yeah.
You're looking at Percocet, Vicodin. Drugs of this nature. Not only it may mask the pain briefly, Charlton, but you also got to look at the internal organ effects that it has on the body, Charlton. The destruction of the kidney, the liver, the pancreas, these things, because these are synthetic opiates that are controlled by drug companies, Charlton, and these drug companies are traded on Wall Street.
Yeah.
So they have a market on these products. Now, marijuana, even though they have high grades of marijuana, you can still grow it at home because it's natural. It's like growing any other vegetable plant, Charlton. It's natural.
Yeah.
So you can't always tax it, and that's where the problem lies. Because no one in the federal government or in the state government have found out a way to tax all marijuana. Even though it's legal in a couple of states, there are still people, I believe in California, it's legal to grow at least 25 plants on your own property in a couple of Northern California counties. So,
yeah, Humboldt County is big for that too, up north.
County, yes. Up above San Francisco. So, when a person can grow it on its own, now that hurts the distributors. Yeah. Because they're saying that's revenue out of our pocket and taxes that are not going to the state coffers. Yeah. But when it helps people, Charlton, and you spoke about how it helps children with epilepsy and other medical problems, this is what you're looking to for the greater need of people, Charlton, not the greater finances. As we've talked about, so many companies that have left the U.S. and are no longer paying taxes here. Well, Big C, that's a very good point that you bring up. And speaking of good points, this segment is sponsored by United Labor Insurance, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance policy, no medical questions asked. Also, I'm a broker with One Life America. We're the leaders in final expense life insurance. Also, Goosehead PNC Property and Casualty. We beat about 98% of the people in competition when it comes to a quote. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and tweet out that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, also, Big C, another issue that comes up when you talk about that, because just like the prohibition of alcohol, a lot of athletes, and again, this Cristal champagne that was being consumed by the Cavaliers, a lot of athletes have celebrations and they pour the alcohol, whether it's champagne or beer or whatever it happens to be. But we know that was a time when that was illegal. And I know you good old boys down south, you won't give up the moonshine whether they tax it or not. Moonshine has never been illegal. You got to understand, it's made from the earth. All right? Yeah, I understand. It's made from natural byproducts, such as corn and water. So this is natural. It's not chemically enhanced. Yeah. We just learned how to make it better than anybody else. I understand. And speaking of making it better than anybody else, Beneath His Wings Foundation.org, make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast and secure. And also Cynthia Evans at CYNN Entertainment. When it comes to promotions, she's the best in Northern California. Tweet out to her and let her know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Now, we talked about making donations to Charlton and Big C Sports. Big C, the guy that bought the Las Vegas NHL hockey team, he's a billionaire. He can also send some money out this way too, because we'll take the money just like Davis and all these other guys. When you can put up $500 million, money's not an issue. This guy, $500 million, and I don't think he blinked
when he wrote the check, Big C. So everyone, we're always open for money. But I want to close out with this. I know we have the NBA draft going on tonight. I'm more old school. I'd rather see guys. I put more energy in the guys that already have experience playing in the league in the last minute, Big C. What are your thoughts on tonight's sports and what's big for you coming up this weekend, Big C?
Well, Charlton, when we think about tonight's sports, we got to look at the oldest league in North America starting up this season tonight, over 125 years of playing. Canadian Football League, Charlton, where the kickoff game tonight is going to be Toronto versus Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
Up in Ontario.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at what this league has produced over the years, they've produced some great NFL players. Also, if you go back and remember, Joe Theismann got his start in the CFL back in 1971.
Yeah.
And he also took the Washington Redskins to a couple of Super Bowls. We think about Heisman Trophy winner Doug Flutie, who was a 5-time MVP, Charlton, in the Canadian Football League, and also has winning records as quarterback with the Buffalo Bills and the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah.
So these players have been very productive, and also remember the great Warren Moon.
Yeah.
Came out of the Canadian Football League along with many other players, Charlton. So, hats off to the Canadian League for sustaining itself for well over 100 years, being the godfather of professional football. And, we hope for a great season up there. It always is in a championship game called the Grey Cup.
Yeah.
And that's in November, late November. So the CFL is back, and the NFL will be kicking off training camp real soon. And we got the NBA draft tonight, and so we will see how the league turns around with the trades that take place prior to the draft tonight, Charles.
Well, Big C, that's excellent knowledge. I'm going to call you Big C the Mystic, and you can listen to the Mystic every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on Charlton and Big C Sports. We love bringing it to you real, keeping it real. We call it Real Talk. And I want to thank all of our fans from Latin America, from all over the world listening to us. Follow us again on Facebook and Twitter. We want to tell you that we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.